Hi everybody, today I'm going to share with you today my 3 favorite stretches to do on the Hypervibe. I'm using the G10, you can use your G10, G14 or G17 of course. Now there are so many amazing stretches that you can do using your Hypervibe, but here are 3 really good ones to start with. I've got my machine set at 15, but anywhere between 11 and 15 is a really nice place to do your stretches. And I'm sitting in the middle, and I've got the middle of my hamstring kind of on the front edge of the plate here. Sitting up really tall. Now we've got to remember breathing's important with stretching. I know some of us are super tight, but you don't want to fight the stretch, if that makes sense. You want to try and relax, exhale into it, really oxygenate those muscles. So do what feels good and never cross that line. We don't want to overstretch you. It should ultimately start to feel good the more you do it. Okay, so here's a nice little hamstring and lower back stretch. While I'm focusing on my hamstring length here, I'm still getting this nice stretch through my back and a little bit of massage in that QL region. So really lifting up through the tummy. Take an inhale. Exhale. Let's let our spine ripple down, simultaneously lengthening the legs. Now I can reach my toes here. If you can't, that's no problem. What I'm going to do is gently pull into my toes so that I can extend my spine. And that's what challenges my hamstrings a little bit more. And then I'm going to soften back down, drop my chin, scoop my tummy, just let my heels slide along the floor. Notice my heels are off the mat, so I've got that nice slide through the heels. Let's do a few of these flowing together. Big inhale, big exhale, rippling down. And then trying to lengthen up through the spine, open your heart, and ripple back down, scooping the abs, pulling yourself back up again, and rolling down. Now if those toes feel like they're miles away, that's okay. Just rest your hands either on your shins or behind your calves, and try and get that little lengthen through your spine, and then drop, and then pull it all the way back up. Just let's keep going while I have a chat to you here. What I really love about doing this kind of stretch on the Hypervibe is somebody like me who tends to grip through the hips. It's really nice having the height of the platform. It allows me to open my hip flexors up rather than sitting directly on the floor to do my straddle stretch. And then the back of my hamstrings are getting this lovely massage while I'm trying to stretch them. And then coming back. And you can do as many of these as you like. You could even focus on doing 1 to 2 minutes per exercise of these nice deep stretches. And on my last one, I'm going to encourage you to stay down here a little bit longer. Holding onto those shins, calves or feet, lengthening up. And let's just breathe here together. Inhale, exhale. If your back doesn't like being in the extension, you can soften downwards, but don't be collapsed and rounded. Let's try and do 4 more big breaths together, inhaling and exhaling. Can you go a little bit further? Inhale, exhale. And then last one. All right, here's one more little challenge for you with your stretch. Cross one hand to the opposite foot. Rotate your spine. Sweep through the middle, soft, soft, soft. And then the other way. Go back through the middle. Now how far can you reach those hands out? Inhale, exhale. And then roll yourself all the way back up again. That's the first one. 2 more to go. So one other thing I want to mention, I'm very comfortable sitting directly onto my plate, but in your step mat combos, you've got your mat that's designed perfectly to fit on top of your platform. So always feel free to use that little bit of extra cushioning if your sits bones don't like sitting directly onto the plate. So if that's my hamstrings, let's look at something that might be nice for my upper back and my shoulders to stretch. I'm going to come onto my knees here. And I'm simply going into a child's pose. Now, if you spread the knees, it just gives your hips a little bit more room and your tummy a little bit more room to sit back and let those forearms get that nice stretch across the platform. This is also a great recovery pose if you're doing some of the training videos with us and need a break. And then what I'm going to do here to increase the stretch in my shoulder, we're going to call this thread the needle. So I've got my right hand here and I'm reaching it underneath my left armpit, letting it stretch through the floor. I'm going to hold here a few breaths. And then I'm going to unravel it. So now this part of my shoulder, the one onto the plate, is getting a stretch as I come up this way. Now I understand that I might have a little bit more flexibility than some of you at home, but don't let that faze you. You just sit into the position that feels right for you here. You might just want to hold this one. If the shoulder feels okay to go into this open position, you can go to that. Now, a couple of other options. If your knees don't like to be that flexed, you can still do the same position from a 4-point kneeling position. Watch what I'm going to do here. So I'm not closing or flexing my knees so much. I'm just going to go through this way. Do you see that? And then my knees aren't doing quite as much. You can always add extra mats through here for under the knees. All right, let's do a couple on the other side. Again, you can do as many of these as feels good. I'm going to go back down to this position. I really like the stretch it gives me at my shoulder. I'm reaching through. And then coming back up. And then we're reaching through. And then coming back up. What I've loved about stretching with all my clients at the studio is that it's different to that static stretch because you've got the vibration from the plate, so it's almost like stretch and massage and release at the same time. And they're finding that they really get deeper into all of their poses because you've got this gorgeous response from the machine. And coming back in. And then just tuck your toes underneath you, roll your spine up. I'm going to step onto my plate down now and do a lovely little calf stretch. I'm going to use the wall here. If I was set up at the other side of the studio, I've got my ballet bar. You do want something stable to hold on to here because we're going to be having the heels off the back edge of the plate. My legs are on my H, quite wide on the platform. If that's too much, you bring them in a little bit closer. And then I'm just going to start by hanging my heels and getting myself sorted basically, so I don't want to go into the stretch as such until I'm in the best possible setup position. Now, if you angle forward, that's going to increase the amount of stretch through the Achilles and the calf all the way back through the back of your leg. If that's too much, you come a bit higher. But you definitely need something to support you in your balance here. What's going to happen now is I'm going to pop one heel up. Do you see that? I've lifted my right heel, and that gets me deeper into my left heel. This is so good, you guys. It's that same thing where I'm getting a stretch but a bit of a massage at the same time. Letting it go down. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I really focus on breath a lot. Breath helps us focus, it helps us connect. All else failing, don't stop breathing. You can put some nice music on when it's time for you to do some stretching, just to help get yourself into that deeper, more relaxed state. You can't be tense going into stretches. Those of you that get restless legs, this is a really nice one. Or if you cramp in your calves, be a good one to do in the morning or before you go to bed at night. And I'm just going to hang both heels at the end of doing those stretches individually, just to balance out and get that symmetry again. And if you want to feel the difference between the stretch and the contraction, you could rise up onto your tippy toes. There's the muscle contracting, and here it is releasing. Got that little overhang. And then dropping it down. So how did you go? I hope you enjoyed those ones, and I'm going to do some great massage and release ones next as well.